Okay, quick wristwatch check today, and it is another episode of Watch Strappin, rather. Same thing, these are not reviews, it's just quick wristwatch check with a strap of choice. And I'm still on my new Glycine Airman Vintage, the Chief, and it's a long ass title, GL0412. Yes, so this is a relatively new release. They finally made a Purist version of this watch. I basically had the same watch a few years ago. Gosh, it must have been at least 3 years by now, when they released the GL0251. Main differences are that that was acrylic crystal, and this is sapphire, and that had 10 meters of water resistance, whereas this has 30. So yeah, definitely some improvements there, and I like them. And I mean, if I still had that watch, I'd probably be fine with those specs and the the materials and whatever. I mean, the difference in that there was in the glass and all that, the crystal rather. But I'm glad they did this one. I did have a GMT version prior to this, which was the GL0303, if I'm not mistaken. Basically the same watch, but it was a GMT version, so it has a 4th GMT hand. But I never actually really completely bonded with that, because for the most part I prefer my Airmans to be Purist versions. So basically the movement has been modified to run in 24-hour cycles instead of a full rotation of the hour hand twice a day. It does it once a day, and I just think that's the way that the original watch was designed that way, as well as the way this dial is designed. It can be read, of course, in the 12-hour format, but it's not as intuitive. I mean, you look at it, there's nothing that really indicates 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I guess, all the way around. It's you just have to rely on the indexes, which are a little bit small and somewhat secondary to the 24-hour track that's around both versions of the watch. So it just makes more sense just to let it run that way. And I just put out a video on why the Purist version, I feel, is, at least for me, the best under $1,000 like Swiss-made GMT watch. It's running off of a basically your standard kind of office GMT style movement, which is in Swiss terms usually is an ETA based 2893-2 or Sellita SW330. I think Soprod might make one as well, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyways, they basically operate the same way. You can't jump forward or backwards the main hour hand. You can only kind of advance the 4th GMT hand, and yeah, so that's why it's considered office GMT and not a true, which I don't like to use that term, or traveler's GMT, which is probably more accurate. And I think that applies to the new Seiko 5 Sports GMT that looks, that basically is like a 5KX SKX that's in a GMT style now, because that basically operates the same way as a ETA 2893-2. It's not it's an office GMT movement versus a traveler's. Although this basically is running off of it because of the way it's done, and the way you interpret and read the time with the main hour hand. It's quite a different experience, and I think much less fiddly and more intuitive. You do lose a third time zone in this format, but I personally don't ever need that myself. I barely even need 2 because I don't travel as much. I just like the GMT look, but 2 is plenty. And I think my friend was kind of correct. One of my friends was correct in saying, like, well, if you're going to go with something more than 2 time zones, why don't you consider a world timer? Then you get all the time zones, right? Well, I just hold it off at just 3. And there is a point to that, right? But that's another discussion. Anyways, that's about it. I gotta get going. So hope you're enjoying your day, and definitely glad to have this back. Oh yeah, strap. kind of went into a mini review or something. But this is a strap I've owned for a while. It's like this silver green is what they call it from Cheapestnatostraps. I just love it. It's just a muted green color. It's almost like a gray green. It reminds me of Nomex flight suit kind of green, if you know what I'm talking about, like the military uses. I think they still use, at least the U.S. Forces, but and I think that's kind of fitting for this style of watch. And I don't know, this yeah, it kind of works. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next